Abu-Baidoo, and this is News Tonight, coming to you live from the Platinum Place in Accra, streaming across the world via our Facebook and YouTube channels. Let's take a look at our headlines. Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey describes the Mahama administration's handling of illegal mining as disappointing, citing implemented measures as a failure. Also, pro-environmental group Eco-Conscious Citizens slams President Mahama, describing his action on Galamsey as political deception. And former Attorney General Godfred Dame accuses government of weaponizing the criminal justice system against political opponents.
All these processes amount to what I call a deliberate discriminatory application of the law. And it's this uneven application of the law which must be deplored. We cannot live in a country where some citizens of the country are treated worse in a worse form than others.
Also in this package, government reveals plans to begin phase out of double-track system from 2026. And in support for broader energy sector reforms to reduce Ghana's financial risks and ensure debt sustainability. And on the international front, 1,100 victims of the September 11 terror attacks remain unidentified 24 years after the tragedy. I've got details of these and some other stories. Please stay with me. You hear the details now. Government has announced plans to phase out the double-track system under the Free Senior High School program by 2026. Education Minister Haruna Idrisu says 1 billion cedis from the Ghana Education Trust Fund will be captured in the 2026 national budget to tackle the infrastructure deficit that necessitated the double-track arrangement. The minister added that investment is key to President Mahama's vision to improve senior high school education, and it reflects the administration's commitment to maintaining the free senior high school policy.
We remain committed to ending the double-track system as our contribution to improving the quality of senior high school education. Accordingly, into the 2026 formula of the GHOne Fund, President Mahama has directed the Minister of Finance, Atuforsen, to make an allocation of 1 billion Ghana cedis dedicated to managing the transition and responding to the hurdles of the transition. And Accra girls will benefit from that allocation, whether in respect of the uncompleted 18-unit classroom block or the stalled assembly hall. What we need is to expand infrastructure. Every Ghanaian parent wants a child to be in a category A school. Why? Because of the discrepancy in the provision of quality education between category A, category B, category C, between rural urban, and between modern urban and rural Ghana. Therefore, it imposes an onerous responsibility on the state and probably on me to invest the state resources well in expanding your infrastructure.
Away from education, the Accra Regional Police Command is cautioning the public against abusing legitimate service vehicles such as ambulances for criminal activities, while reaffirming its determination to clamp down on drug trafficking. The warning follows the arrest of 39-year-old Kwame Munanyi Tuanda for allegedly using a private ambulance to convey cannabis.
On September 10, 2025, the Accra Regional Police Intelligence Department, acting on sustained surveillance, intercepted a Hyundai Hayes private ambulance with registration number GX277-20 in front of Jamboree Drinking Sports at Labadi, Miami. The team arrested suspect Kwame Minayi Tuanda, who claimed ownership of the ambulance and its contents. A search of the vehicle uncovered sacks of dried leaves suspected to be cannabis.
Upon a thorough investigation and examinations of the sacks, the police found 700 parcels and 473 wrappers of dried leaves suspected to be cannabis, and we have retrieved them accordingly.
Investigations revealed the consignment had been transported from Pando in the Volta North region to Accra for onward distribution. The suspects reportedly admitted to engaging in illegal trade since last year.
Further investigations have also established that the suspect originally purchased the vehicle as a regular car and later fitted it with a siren. Before acquiring the Hyundai Hayes, he had used a Toyota Highlander, which he used for the same purpose, transporting of illegal substances. He subsequently has branded the current vehicle as an ambulance and, aside from using it for drug trafficking, also operated it for transporting dead bodies.
The vehicle has since been impounded and the exhibits secured as evidence. The substances will be forwarded to the Police Forensic Science Laboratory for analysis. The suspect is being processed for courts as the investigations continue.
Thanks for staying on News Tonight with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo. Let me now bring you an update on the monkeypox cases recorded in Ghana. The Ghana Health Service has confirmed 25 new mpox cases, bringing the total number of infections to 519, with one recorded death. This latest update marks an increase from August 28, when 21 new cases pushed the total at the time to 467. Health officials are urging the public to remain vigilant, practice good hygiene, and seek prompt medical attention if they experience any of these symptoms: fever, headaches, muscle pain, swollen lymph nodes, and skin rashes. I've now been joined via phone by Samuel Arthur, who is a public health analyst. I'm grateful for your time this evening. We seem to see a lot of cases after the initial record of infections of monkeypox. Do you think we are taking this as seriously as we should?
Yeah, so good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners, and then also to your good self. Yeah, so I guess we as a country we are not taking this issue of mpox, and then also particularly issues of outbreaks very seriously. Now, coming from coming out of the woods from COVID, I thought as a nation, or from our public health perspective, we would rather be on red alert and ensure that all the protocols that we thought, we spent a lot of money to educate and sensitize the communities and the people will be sustained in a manner that, irrespective of any outbreak, once people are following these hygiene protocols, we are sure that in the face of any infection, we can be able to regulate or deal with the spread. So if as a country, I think for the last 2-3 years, and all of us can testify to this, if you go to all the public places where we had this the water running, the water system where people wash their hands, people were sanitizing and all that virtually has stopped. So obviously, in the face of any type of infections like that within the system, it becomes easy to spread. So it boils down to what the people need to know and what we can do to prevent not just Mpox, but largely all other outbreaks which go around the hygiene situations and all that we learned during the COVID era. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. These are outbreaks we cannot stop. They may come. But then what is our preparedness to deal with it? And it will come with what the people know, how they can prevent it, and how they can deal with it when they find the infection.
How would you rate the Ghana Health Services public education on this?
Yeah, so public education, of course. You see, I think a month or a couple of months ago, we had this discussion on Mpox. Now, somehow, when the figures begin to surge, we know the Ghana Health Service has a wonderful surveillance system, which is able to pick up some of this now. But getting a very good surveillance system is not enough. When we are able to pick up the signal, what are we able to do to ensure that whatever infection it is does not spread to the proportion that it becomes nationwide and it will bring all the gains we have made within the health sector down? So for me, let's not make health education sporadic or probably instantaneous. Something happens and then quickly we move in like the firefighting approach. Let's avoid it. Let's have a comprehensive public health education which will ensure that everybody is educated to the level that in the face of any kind of outbreak, all of us have basic common knowledge, and then we can help each other to avoid further spread and infections among ourselves. So public education and then sustaining it over time is very critical.
I'm grateful for your time this evening. Samuel Arthur is a public health analyst sharing his thoughts on the increase in the monkeypox cases that have been recorded in Ghana. You're watching News Tonight with me, Bernice Abu-Baidoo. Stay with me. When I come back after these messages, we'll be focusing on Ghana's fight against illegal mining. Thank you for staying on News Tonight with me, Bernice Abu-Baidoo. It's now time for Insight. And tonight on Insight, we focus on illegal mining because there have been a lot of reactions to President John Dramani Mahama ruling out an immediate declaration of a state of emergency in the fight against the menace. During Wednesday's media encounter, EIB Network's Joshua Kojo-Mensah asked the president what the difficulty is in declaring a state of emergency despite growing calls from environmentalists. In response, the president acknowledged the growing public calls for tougher sanctions and actions, but he maintained that existing laws already provide sufficient powers for enforcement agencies to protect the country's forest reserves. He added, while a state of emergency could be considered in the future if necessary, for now his government will continue to rely on the current legal framework.
To hear that you personally are telling us that indeed steps have been taken to repeal LI 2462. But then I want to find out from you, the pro-environmentalist groups and then civil society, they want this declaration of a state of emergency. Where's the difficulty in declaring that state of emergency? Thank you.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have. And if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. It means we have to go to Parliament. The president can't just declare a state of emergency without, going to Parliament, because there's a limit to how long you can maintain that state of emergency. And so I believe that we still have leverage to continue to fight Galamsey without necessarily implementing a state of emergency. It means that we have to delineate the areas where the state of emergency is operational. And if you look at the area where Galamsey is taking place, it covers several districts of our country. And so we would do it if it becomes necessary. But for now, I think that we've given the security services enough powers to be able to deal with people who are found to be involved in Galamsey.
We have been picking reactions on this, and I'll be bringing you those reactions shortly. Meanwhile, member of the communications team of the NDC, Hamza Suhini, says government remains committed to tackling the Galamsey menace despite concerns about the slow progress in the fight. He argues that an outright declaration of a state of emergency would obscure powerful financiers driving the illegal mining business. According to him, rushing into such a declaration could make it harder to expose and punish the real culprits.
If you look at our activities in opposition, we've always known, because of the promises His Excellency President Mahama made, that it was going to be extremely difficult for us to start our fight against Galamsey with an announcement of a state of emergency. Remember that one of the cardinal promises he made was to the effect that those we find in the pits are not really the perpetrators of that dastardly act, but they are financiers who we may not find in the field. And so any government that is committed to fighting the menace of illegal mining must focus on these financiers, discovering them and subjecting them to the penal code of this country. And you know that an outright declaration of a state of emergency would have obscured many of these big players behind the industry. But the fact that we are rolling out policies like the Blue Water Guards, we have intensified operations at these forest reserves, we have also strengthened stakeholder engagements with traditional rulers. And at the back of that, government's commitment has been seen to be quite, at least, progressive.
Let's now hear from coordinator of pro-environmentalist group Eco-Conscious Citizens, Sewa Awula. She has been criticizing President Mahama, saying his actions on Galamsey amount to political deception.
To ask for a state of emergency to be declared. What has changed? If anything, things have gone from bad to worse. Things have gone from bad to worse. And the president says that there are other tools that can be used. So what are we waiting for to use them? I think the UTAC president put it extremely well. We don't want to wait till it is too late. The window of opportunity is closing. I'm not quite sure how one can put it any more clearer. The fact of the matter is that there's ongoing ecocide. CAF has now told us that the number of kidney disease-related cases has gone up fourfold, 4 times. We know that we are being poisoned. Water is life. 60% of our water bodies have been poisoned. Our forest reserves are being decimated. Our farmlands are being polluted. Water is life. Water is life. If we don't nip it in the bud, it will be too late. The window of opportunity is closing. So one needs to ask the president, if there are other tools to be used, what on earth are we waiting for to use them? Are we waiting till it's too late? And I'd like to use the analogy of a house. The house is burning. There are times when it's a tiny fire. You could use some buckets of water. You may have a fire extinguisher. But it comes to a stage where you need the fire service. And there you are. You need the fire service. You're still using buckets of water and saying that you have other options. And what are you waiting for? For the whole house to be engulfed in fire to reach the point of no return.
So that's Awula Sewa. Let's now hear from the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. In a statement, they've been criticizing President Mahama's approach to illegal mining, describing the government's handling of the menace as, quote-unquote, a disappointment to all. In a statement, the group said the president's remarks during the September 10 presidential media encounter did not convey the urgency required to rid the country of unprecedented environmental terrorism. They argue the administration has downplayed the severity of the crisis, pointing to the pollution of over 60% of water bodies with heavy metals, the displacement of farmers, and the devastation of forest reserves. The coalition also described as misplaced government's withdrawal of police officers from anti-Galamsey operations, insisting the task force, despite its flaws, had been fearless and helped bring illegal mining under control. Challenging the president's assertion that alternatives must be provided before pursuing miners, the group warned that such a posture emboldens illegality. They further stated, quote, "This is not the leadership expected for a country facing environmental suicide, contaminated cocoa exports, and rising health crisis," unquote. On the president's refusal to declare a state of emergency, the coalition said conditions on the ground have not improved since he assumed office, and in some areas, indices have worsened. The group has urged Ghanaians to join its comprehensive media briefing, which is coming up on Monday, September 15, and we'll be there to bring you all the details. But currently, I've been joined by Daryl Bosu, who is with Arosha Ghana, and he's also been working tirelessly to end the illegal mining menace here in Ghana. I'm grateful for your time, Daryl. So the president says, look, I'm reluctant to declare a state of emergency because, in his estimation, we have not exhausted all the available mechanisms before resorting to declaration of a state of emergency. Do you agree with him?
Yes, good evening to you. And then I think that, yes, to get straight to the point, I think the president is telling us that right now where we are okay. There's no crisis. We should take our time. And that for us, we don't think it's true. And we don't agree with him at all. We believe that if the solutions on the ground were working, we wouldn't be up in arms out there really asking him to institute a targeted state of emergency. It is because we are not seeing any results. He says there are people, he's resourcing the police, 9 months and all of that. All these people, yes, we acknowledge their existence, but they are not even resourced enough to get this issue under wrap and also to ensure that the menace is curtailed. So we really don't have any confidence in what he has said, because if really the solutions are there and they are working, why are we not seeing the results? That is the big question we also want to ask him. Where is the solution that he's talking about? Galamsey is escalating mining in lands, farmlands, cocoa farms. Now we know about the rubber farms and all of that. And the president says that the solutions are working, and so we should take our time. I think even when we had an issue with just one river body being polluted, the whole basin polluted, that should have told us that, look, we have something to do. We need to get to this. But we failed. I don't know what he's really expecting to see before he treats this with all the urgency that it deserves.
Right.
And the fact that he's also saying that because people don't have employment, we should more or less manage the situation until we can get all the employment alternatives in place before we really deal with this issue. It's also really very discouraging. And for us, we see that as a stab in the back in the fight against Galamsey.
On the issue of the withdrawal of the police from the Galamsey task force, the president said there were problems. The police didn't have the capacity to determine those who engaged in legal mining or legal small-scale mining. Let me be specific. Do you think that excuse is tenable?
Exactly, it is what you call it. It's an excuse that for us we don't accept because the president is in effect saying that the police is not prepared well enough to go out there and do the job. Who sends the police? I'm sure between the rank and file of the government, they had a discussion on how they were going to address this Galamsey. Even if you think that NIMOS is eventually going to come on board to deal with it, the police had a role to play. The police have forever been the frontline law enforcement agencies in every district, every community, every region that we have in this country. So if anybody should be dealing with this Galamsey menace, it should be the police. But fair enough. We said they are not doing their work well. We bring in even NIMOS. And then NIMOS also, we are not resourcing them. So it's all telling on the government's poor preparation and poor commitment in really dealing with Galamsey. There seems to be unclarity around how they really want to go about it. So you see the IGP task force goes in there, they start doing their work, and then people within their own government are saying, tell them that it's not working. Then we send NIMOS. NIMOS is there, excellent team composition, but they don't have resources to work. So what then again will be the excuse? So I just see these are just excuses of excuses. Let's bear in mind that the crisis that we are confronted with now has not changed from what it used to be before when they themselves were in opposition and they were asking for a state of emergency. It hasn't changed. The crisis has escalated and we are afraid it is getting worse.
Beyond the declaration of a state of emergency, do you see any other reforms that can be introduced to take us on a different path in this fight, probably a path to total victory?
No, I think there are several reforms that need to go hand in hand with the state of emergency. That has to do with the way and manner in which we issue licenses. The government should have a policy of limitation where they make everybody understand that, yes, we have gold in almost all of our lands, but it is not everywhere in this country that we are going to mine. And then when you are also given a mining lease or a mining permit, you have to conform strictly to site regulations and also guidelines. And then also we need to ensure that the excavators that are used for all of these distractions that we've been talking about, there is a strong monitoring regime that regulates its use and movement from one side to the other. Then we also need to talk about the manner in which revenue from the mining sites are also used to restore the land and also restore the forests that are destroyed. Miners need to be made to be accountable for the lands they mine on and they destroy, for the water bodies they pollute, and also for all the other environmental impacts that they are responsible for. We need to bring some accountability. It is not enough for them to mine and say, we made $6 billion from the sale of gold. What about the social and environmental costs associated with all that money that was made? Who is going to pay for it? We are even thinking that all the money that Gold Board is making, they should be able to make some available for the work of NIMOS, who are now very, very limitedly resourced to go on the ground and do the work that is needed. Because right now we are not seeing any solutions. And the solutions are bound, but we are sitting and not acting on them.
Darrell, on the issue of issuing licenses, the president says no mining license has been issued since he assumed office. And also he did mention some other measures that are being taken, including the lands minister visiting Australia to learn how responsible mining is being done. And we understand that the Small Scale Miners Association will also be taken to go. We understand that this has to be multifaceted. We can't just take one aspect of the illegal mining fight and go full haul. It needs to go hand in hand with a couple of these measures. But with what you have mentioned and with what the president has been telling us, do you think that we should give it more time, or you still insist that a state of emergency must be declared at all costs?
Dealing with the issue of this menace has been long overdue. It's long overdue. Ghanaians can't wait any longer. And this government has been in power before. They've been in opposition. They knew about the issues. They were all over the place, touting their commitment and what they wanted to do. Why are they now asking for more time? For me, I think it's just another perfect excuse. If they really didn't have a solution to this, then they should have made all the promises they made. And I think this is the time that if they are really serious about resetting the country, resetting the environmental degradation that we have seen all around us, this is the test case for them. We need to hit the ground running. There is no longer any waiting. This action is already long overdue.
Are we hitting the streets soon, Daryl?
Say that again?
Are we expecting you and other citizens who are concerned to hit the streets over this matter anytime soon?
Well, I think, we have a press conference coming on Monday. There are several other things that is following. So maybe in the course of time, we will make all of that very clear. But at the moment, I will say that we are going to continue to engage government publicly and also behind the scenes to ensure that the right thing is done.
I'm grateful
so
for
eventually, yes, all those issues will come out. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Daryl Bosso is Deputy National Director of Arosha, Ghana, and he's been sharing his thoughts with us on the fight against galamsey and the President's responses on the matter during his media encounter. That'll be all for Insight. General and Minister of Justice Godfred Yeboah-Dame has launched an attack on government, accusing the NDC administration of weaponizing the criminal justice system against political opponents. His comments followed a solidarity visit to the NPP's Bono Regional Chairman, Kwame Bafo-Abronye, who is in police custody. Mr. Dame has also criticized the judge for refusing to admit Abronye to bail. There's more in the following report.
Speaking after visiting NPP Bono Regional Chairman Kwame Bafo-Abronye at the CID headquarters, Godfred Dame criticized what he called the government's selective application of the law, favoring its supporters while clamping down on dissenters.
So I'm saying that there ought to be tolerance for free speech, and the level of intolerance of this administration is very reprehensible. All offenses under section 207 and 208 of Act 29 are misdemeanors. So really, there's little justification as to why a trial court would even deny bail. We have seen it when people are actually attacked in elections, gravely assaulting other Ghanaian citizens and all. They are granted bail and they are put before court. And when they plead guilty, even before the court will deliver a sentence, the court itself grants bail. All these processes amount to what I call a deliberate discriminatory application of the law. And it's this uneven application of the law which must be deplored. We cannot live in a country where some citizens of the country are treated in a worse form than others.
Dame further alleged that unhealthy restrictions on Abronye's legal team, saying lawyers were denied access for days after court proceedings. He also confirmed that Abronye DC has been on hunger strike since his last court appearance.
He's not eating since that time. I don't know that is a kind of strike, hunger strike or not, but he says, yes, he's not trying to eat. His wife is in there, and when his wife comes out, he can explain. I've advised wife to employ all kinds of means that she knows best to ensure that the husband eats. Under this visit, the lawyer came in whilst I was there, and because I was there, he's been granted access to him to engage in some kind of conference with the client. But the most important thing is that tomorrow the matter is coming up, and I'm sure the court should be minded to grant bail.
On the question of whether the judge was right to deny bail because Abronye had previously sought asylum and could abscond, Dame argued that such reasoning reflects discriminatory justice and is inconsistent with the principles of democracy.
That's spurious, very, very spurious. I mean, asylum seeking is according to law, is it not? And I do not think that there has been a conclusion of really such processes by the gentleman. And so the question is whether indeed it should be an offense for a person to seek asylum, and whether it's also an offense for the person to make a comment that another person considers unsavory or unpalatable to that person. I think all this is really putting the country in such a very poor light. And as I'm saying, that is the lowest we can get to as a democracy. It should not happen at all. And we should not condone it.
Despite these claims, Dami said Abronye remains in good spirits and confident ahead of his next court appearance as he called for equal treatment of all citizens under the law.
This is News Tonight here on GHOne Television with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo. So now the 2025 Ojura Planning Committee has imposed a ban on indecent dressing, the use of DV-plated vehicles and the discharge of unlicensed firearms during the week-long celebration, which is expected to commence on October 20th and conclude on November 2nd, 2025. The Planning Committee emphasized these prohibited activities have in the past undermined the fundamental purpose of the festival, which is the celebration of the Okwapeman victory over the Asante forces in 1826 during the infamous Katamanso War and the display of the cultural heritage of the Okwapems. The announcement was made during a media launch of the festival at the Okwape Hennes Palace.
The 2025 Ojura celebrations mark the 199th anniversary of the victory of the Equiapim over the Asante forces during the Katamanso War in 1826. At the media launch of the 2025 celebration, the Planning Committee banned certain activities deemed inconsistent with the spirit of Ojura.
No DV cars. All vehicles with DV plated cars won't be allowed on our streets. Indecent dressing would not be allowed on our streets, neither on the pubs or the restaurants or anywhere. Anybody who will bring gun to a Ekropong for this Ojura must, and I repeat, register it. And when you register it with your bullets. And those bullets should be blank bullets.
The committee further provided on-ground guidelines to mitigate discomfort to the public during the celebration.
All vehicles left on the street unattended will be clamped and towed away. And believe me or not, if you fall into that victim, you will pay a fine so that people will come and see what we have over here. All major streets should not be blocked unless special permits or arrangements from the palace or the authorities.
Some activities lined up for the week-long celebration include path clearing, outdooring of the new yam, remembering the departed, day of feasting and cleansing, public lecture, business dialogue, planting of trees, display of arts and culture, among others. The 2025 Ojura Festival is under the theme, Preserving Our Heritage, Securing Our Future.
It's now time to bring you business news here on News Tonight.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology. Again.
IMF has expressed support for broader energy sector reforms aimed at reducing Ghana's financial risks and ensuring debt sustainability. This comes as the PURC considers tariff proposals for the next 4 years amid widespread concern over ECG's request for more than 200% increase in distribution service charges. Responding to a question from EIB Network's Emmanuel Ejabing at a press briefing earlier today, the IMF's communications department head, Julie Kozak, said the fund supports adjustments that address inefficiencies in the power sector.
The situation is improving. And there's been a further significant improvement in Ghana's external position. What is essential from our perspective is that any tariff adjustments
expand trade relations with Ghana. Acting High Commissioner Said Nozair Idid bin Said Yusuf Idid says both countries already share strong links in trade, education, tourism and culture, but there's greater potential to unlock opportunities for economic growth. He made these remarks during Malaysia's Open Day event, which aims to encourage Ghanaians to visit the Southeast Asian nation in 2026. Now, still on business news, MTN Ghana has launched DigiFest, a digital innovation festival designed to showcase cutting-edge technologies and accelerate the country's digital transformation agenda. The festival brings together industry leaders, innovators, startups, and technology enthusiasts to explore the future of digital solutions in areas such as AI, fintech, cloud services, e-commerce, and smart living. There's more in the following report.
At the launch, MTN Ghana underscored that DigiFest is part of its broad Technology. Chief Executive Officer of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewett, said DigiFest will not only highlight innovation, but also provide a platform for collaboration between the private sector, academia, and government to accelerate Ghana's digital agenda.
The next big digital innovation must come from Ghana, made in Ghana. And what's making me so excited today is seeing what I've seen in this festival. There are things that I didn't even know about, and I'm so proud of what we have developed in Ghana. These are not things we're talking about, they are available now. You know, smart homes, products that allow you, if you speak Twi and you don't understand English, it'll help you to interpret what you can do on your phone. Products that allow game developers, you know, from Ghana developing games for the rest of the world and the rest of Africa. So I think for me it's super exciting, and what I'm looking forward to is MTN playing a part in bringing all these wonderful services to the Ghanaian people and to Africa and ultimately to the world.
Chief Digital Officer Ibrahim Misto added that the month-long celebration held in partnership with Made in Ghana innovators will play a critical role in advancing the nation's digital transformation.
This is a full month of activities nationwide across Ghana. We're going to have UI UX festival where they engage with the UI and UX community for inclusion and innovation. We're going to have an AI day where as well we're going to engage as the AI community. We see how the AI day is transforming life and transforming businesses. So we're going to deep dive into the practical use cases that you can help to make our customers' experience a much brighter. We're going to have gaming-focused group, gaming competition, again, enabling the gaming ecosystem, and see how mobile gaming, MTI can lead in the mobile gaming space as well. We're going to have a trade visits all over the country as well, hand in hand the regional team to get closer to our customers, get better insights, be able to sell them better.
The event featured exhibitions, hackathons, and networking opportunities, focusing on how digital tools can transform industries and enhance everyday life. MTN Ghana says DigiFest will become an annual flagship event, spotlighting the best of Ghanaian and African digital innovation, while positioning Ghana as a leader in Africa's growing tech space.
Now, CEO of Aglo Chicken, Kofi Brobe-Che, is urging reforms to restrict the quantity of chicken imports into Ghana. Speaking at the grand opening of the company's new outlet in Accra, where it also unveiled its maiden frozen chicken family pack, he emphasized policy interventions are crucial to stabilize the broiler market and protect local producers.
Aglo Chicken has opened a new outlet in Accra, positioning it as a one-stop shop for locally produced chicken while introducing its frozen chicken family pack. At the launch, CEO Kofi Brobe reiterated the need to curb the influx of imported chicken, stressing that a stable broiler market will expand the local industry and create more jobs for the youth.
It's been our dream that, yes, we have the farms to produce, we have the means to process, but where do we direct customers to? So it has been our plan that we should find a place that we can just direct whoever wants the locally produced chicken to go and buy. And by God's grace, over a period of about 8 months, we've been able to find a place, and today we are just telling the Ghanaian populace that yes, there's a spot where you can go pick your frozen chicken, locally produced one, and take home. Influence of the the imported chicken is disturbing the market, as I've already said. You find out that they, because of the cheap nature they get their products, they can sell at any price. So if you have a product which is costing you about 200 to produce, they can be selling at 100 cedis. And that alone is a poor determination factor that is disturbing the industry. We pray that proper policies will be enacted so that people will not just go to the market, go to the bank, take money, and then start importing and disturbing our market. We want to grow, we want to produce, we want to give jobs to the boys. But if all these things are not controlled and not taken care of, certainly we can expand.
CEO of Agri-Impact Group, Dana Kwei, noted that agribusiness, in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, joined forces with Aglo because of their shared commitment to creating employment opportunities. He added that education alone cannot sustain the economy, highlighting the importance of greater investment in agriculture to drive sustainable growth.
So the Mastercard Foundation came in through Agri-Impact to provide what we call starter pack for young people in the form of day-old checks, feed, vaccine, medication, technical support, and market. But if today you hand over these things to a young person, where would that person go and rail the day-old check that you have given? You would need someone with an infrastructure to support. We looked at Aglo and we realized that Aglo had the full complement of coming on board. But the critical consideration is that you are also looking for a firm that is interested to create opportunities for young people. You can have a firm that has all this infrastructure, but they don't want to contribute or open space for young people, especially young women and persons with disability. But we found that in Aglo, also look at sectors that will absorb what education will produce. So whilst we are investing in education, we should equally look at agribusiness, which is a major consumer of young people and provides the largest form of employment in the country.
Head of the poultry desk at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ricky Abuaji-Poku, said the government is rolling out measures to attract more youth into agriculture, particularly poultry farming.
Ministry, what we are doing currently is that we want to bring innovative technology that makes it more attractive, because the modern trend is touted towards technology. So the incorporation of technology into the agri space, especially the poultry space.
Celebrating 3 decades of service to households, Aglo Chicken pledged to continue delivering freshly produced, locally processed chicken to promote healthy living.
Some exciting news for a Ghanaian.
Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana.
Was obviously set for the Ghana Premier League to kickstart here in Ghana. And tomorrow, Friday, at 5 p.m., the President of the land, John Dramani Mahama.
The most important thing is to see
Nyame Aye has exceeded her expectations. The song, which was released 2 weeks ago, has already garnered massive airplay across the country. She added the positive response from fans has been both humbling and encouraging. It marks 20 years since the tragic passing of one of Ghana's most beloved young talents, Susie Williams. Her sudden death in 2005 sent shockwaves through the country, bringing a promising career to an abrupt end. Here's a News Desk report as we take a moment to remember the vibrant star who lit up our screens and whose legacy still resonates 2 decades on.
Lasting void in the hearts of many. Susie wasn't just an actress, she was a vibrant force. From her early days at Tema Secondary School, where her passion for acting and music first emerged, it was clear she was destined for greatness. She captured audiences with powerful roles in Bloody Mary, The Comforter, Together Forever, and the beloved TV series Sun City. Bold, fearless, and full of charisma, Susie quickly became a household name. The rabbit. Victims of road accidents, turning tragedy into a source of hope. Still, questions have lingered. In 2019, her mother, Cecilia Williams, publicly expressed doubts about the circumstances surrounding Susie's death, raising concerns that remain unresolved. Yet, beyond the mystery and sorrow, what endures is Susie's legacy, one of talent, promise, and an unforgettable screen presence. Her work continues to spark conversations about what might have been. 2 decades later, Susie Williams is remembered not just as a lost star, but as a symbol of youthful brilliance and enduring inspiration. Her light still shines in her films, in our memories, and in the hearts of those who continue to celebrate her life.
On the international front, 24 years after the September 11 terror attacks, more than 1,600 victims have been identified, but 1,100 remain unidentified. On September 11, 2001, 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked 4 commercial airliners. 2 were flown into New York's World Trade Center towers. A third struck the Pentagon near Washington, D.C. And the 4th crashed in a Pennsylvania field after passengers fought back. The attacks prompted the United States to launch a global war on terror against Al-Qaeda and allied militant groups. Scientists say their commitment to return every victim home remains unchanged. The continued testing and retesting remains using advanced forensic technology and are urging family members to provide DNA samples to help with further identifications. And that'll be all for this edition of News Tonight with me, Bernice Abu-Baidoo. I am grateful for your company. I've been produced tonight by Emmanuel Ejabing. Do continue to follow us on social media. We are GHOne Television. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.